All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, we up now. Most High in Christ. Let's just do a check. Okay, Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Most High in Christ. We should be up there. Good. All right. Very good. More the hand of Most High in Christ. Good. There we go. Perfect. We successfully completed. All right. Unto the Lord, successfully completed another day of atonement. You understand? No cowards. That warfare. Everybody battled. Went to war with your hunger, with your desire to eat. You understand? Went to war with your desire to eat and drink. You went to war, you went to battle, you got it on. You understand? You stood with the Most High as the Lord required. And now you get to celebrate a joyous, you understand, a mighty victory for serving the Most High. Mighty victory conquering something that you need to live, that you need to survive, that you will die without, like food and water. You understand? You conquered it, did a mighty job, a mighty amazing thing that the Lord requires. Give yourselves a hand, man. We finishing out, you understand, the Day of Atonement as the Lord so required. No food, no drink, fasting, you understand. And this is a concept that is different from what the Christian church will teach us. It's different, you understand, that you are going without. It's a very foreign concept for you to go without something that you need to survive, that you very much need, that everything in your body is telling you that you need to drink water, that you must eat food to live, to sustain yourself. Otherwise, you will die. Well, guess what? The Lord required that we go 24 hours without food or water. That's what the Day of Atonement is. And this Day of Atonement is to show the Lord that we're willing to sacrifice, just as he has done so many times, just as our great and holy King, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, has done many times over and ultimately gave his life, no different than what the disciples, the prophets did, that the Lord wants us to, you understand that to please the Most High, you might have to give up something for of your own, something of your flesh. The Christian church constantly teaches our people in reference to God that it's blessings, blessings, blessings. God got a blessing. Don't let nobody stop your blessing. Don't block your blessings. Blessings are coming. Blessings taking over. Good measures shaking down, running together. Blessings. You understand? Well, a lot of times the things that the Lord has are not blessings. Sometimes you losing might be a blessing to someone else. You understand? When you talk about breaking in nobody's house, nobody's car, stealing, commit no crimes, you understand? But sometimes you losing might be a blessing to someone else. You understand? The Christian church has taught our people that come into Christ, you're not supposed to lose anything when you come to serve the Most High. And that's just not the case. That's not true. You understand? The Bible says, with thy soul, prepare thy soul for temptation if you come to serve the Lord. You understand? That's what Christ wanted us to understand out the jump. You understand? Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 1, he said, my son, this is the wisdom. This is, you understand, the brother Sirach speaking to his son. He says, my son, Lord speaking through the prophets, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. You understand? Set thy heart aright. Set your spirit, set your mind in the right way. The Christian church has not taught us that serving the Lord is to prepare your soul for temptation. And that is a practice and an exercise that we do here, what's required in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. And we teach our people how to fight and defeat those temptations, man. If you come to serve the Lord, it is different from how we've been taught to serve the Lord our lives. Serving the Lord is not based on what you want, what you think, what you feel or what even you may believe to be the best thing for your life. You understand? A lot of times eating whatever seemed like the best thing for your life because you have to eat. And they use that fear of death. They use that to destroy our people by feeding us pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. There was a time that brothers and sisters sacrificed not eating things that were unlawful for us to eat because they stood with the Most High instead of doing what seemed like the best thing, the easiest thing, or what would keep them alive, even in many cases. They made deals. You understand? We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Of course, we in our series, man, what the Lord requires. Life is about warfare. You understand? Life is about warfare, and the Lord expects his servants to fight, to battle. You understand? Battling your hunger, your desire, your temptation. That is warfare at its finest. It's not an enemy that you can kill, not an enemy that you can fight on the outside, an enemy that is inside of you that you have to fight, man. It's one thing if you got an enemy, you're going to meet him on the battlefield and then you go to war and you fight there. It's another thing if the enemy is inside of you. That desire to get high is inside of you. The desire to steal is inside of you. The desire to smoke weed is inside of you. And if you can give up something and fight against something that you need to survive, like food and water, nutrients and vitamins in your diet, if you can give that up for 24 hours, which is what the Day of Atonement is, then you can battle your demons. You can battle your demons, you understand? And that is something that the Lord instilled into our high holy days, instilled into the days that he required that the nation come together to serve him. You understand? It's built into our culture and our identity that because the Christian church does not teach what God says in the Bible, rich millionaires and billionaires of our people are not willing to go without a meal so that their brother can eat. They're not willing to suffer so that someone else can benefit without some gain being given to themselves. Like Kanye West or like Jay-Z, they're not willing to suffer so that their brothers and sisters can have while they themselves go without. The preachers, the Pope, you understand, that bishop up in Harlem, wherever he is with all the Gucci and Prada, he's not willing to go without. Creflo Dollar is not willing to go without. You understand? T.D. Jakes is not willing to go without so that other people from what he has, the millions and millions of dollars, all the wealth, all the resources that have been collected in the name of God by these religious institutions, they are not willing to go without so that people who do not have can have theirs. You understand? Like that's the spirit that the Lord has been trying to instill in this nation. And our people have leaders, you understand, that do not have the spirit of the Lord. I was going to touch on that when we get Abraham, you understand? Like the Lord said in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 16, it says, charge them that are rich in this world. That are rich in this world. They have the power, they have authority, they have say-so, they have access to resources. That poor brothers and sisters that are starving, that are impoverished, that don't have good educations, that didn't come from backgrounds of wealth and power and prestige, where your money makes what you say important. Your financial contributions to someone's job or their business or their corporation makes them listen to you, and what you deem important will be important to them as well. That's what it says. Rich in this world is not necessarily only talking about money. You understand? But in this society, money rules a great deal. Your power, your influence, people you would otherwise be ignored without that money making your word matter. You understand? It says, charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded. They don't have their mind set on who's going to be the damn president or about white lives mattering to Kanye West and Candace Owens. You understand? But, you understand, not trust in uncertain riches, the amount of wealth that you're going to get in the future. The Lord said, don't trust in that. God crashes America's economy that millions of dollars in the bank, they're going to seize that money. They shut the banks down. You won't get that money out anyway. Rich people who have actual wealth in the millions and billions of dollars, they're not walking around with cash. The poorest people walking around with cash. I remember an episode of Ellen that the Migos was on TV, and they counted out about $200,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars for Ellen, hundreds and millions of dollars in jewelry, all in their teeth, all around their neck, because that's Israelite culture. That's how we always roll. We wore and dressed things in jewelry. Not being vain, that was not our culture, but we did dress nice. We looked fly. We dressed in jewelry, gold and studs and chains and jewels in our teeth. That is in the Bible. You'll find that. And we cover that many times, and you'll see that in our classes. You'll see that in the breakdowns. The Lord had it in there. That is our spirit. That's also how you know that the wealth and the rulers of the other nations of people, they're not the people of the Bible. Our kings and wealth talk about their gold and treasures and riches. You don't see the Saudis and, the kings and princes, all of the Arabs and Africans and Asians. You don't see them on the world stage with gold teeth and jewelry and chains and things like King Solomon did, because they don't have our spirit. We're not the same people as them. You understand? But the Lord said, charge them that are rich in this world, that they don't trust in their riches and their future riches. You understand? The money they're getting from the NFL and the NBA, most of those brothers end up bankrupt within, a year or something, a couple of years out of the league, they end up bankrupt. They end up losing that money, get some boats, some yachts. They crying, you understand? They crying, doing 30 for 30. Hey, shalom, brother. Y'all Shem break a thumb. Crying, doing 30 for 30. How did you lose $50 million? I bought some boats, a couple of mansions, some yachts, they had parties, and then they just break down crying, man. Like, this is what's supposed to be instilled in our people. To not trust in uncertain riches, not trust in wealth and money that we are getting as though, you understand, that is how we're going to sustain ourselves. And the Lord puts these things in the Bible, and the way that we are supposed to carry and live our lives is not based on if we have enough money. Of course, you have to work and do things in this evil society that is ruled by our oppressors' currency. They're in charge, you understand. We are under their rule and their authority. But there are many things that the Lord commanded us to do, like follow his laws, statutes, and commandments, and get in the ISUPK to build Christ's kingdom in his society. You understand? How we had it before we integrated was Martin Luther King, a notorious Christian preacher, and the other civil rights leaders who are the most notorious and infamous traitors to black people that ever existed. Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, they taught our people not to suffer. He didn't want to suffer being black in the black side of town. He wanted to go and join the white community, get in our oppressors community, join, and as a result, eventually our wealth integrated. Our Negro Leagues baseball, our basketball, our football, and eventually all of the best things about us that we built for ourselves now belong to another nation of people, so that they become billionaires and our sons' future generations get to strip naked at the NFL draft and have some white doctor slap your muscles and how high can you jump and weigh you on the scale like he weighing meat at the goddamn deli or the market. You understand? Like, this is why the Lord instilled high holy days like the Day of Atonement, and to get our nation back on focus. Christmas and Thanksgiving, Halloween, Mother's Day, Father's Day, these things are not about focusing us as a nation to think and have the mindset on what is best for our people, what the Lord requires. This disgusting holiday season filled with not Valentine's Day, that's the end of the damn season, but coming from your Halloween, you understand, your desire, go out and get party and get candies and things like that. You understand, these are wicked, evil holidays that are steeped in the traditions of other nations of people who will not forfeit their customs to join anyone. That's why the Roman Catholic Church eventually made them a part of Christianity and turned their pagan worship of Halloween into All Hallows Eve or All Saints Day. You understand? that fertility festival in Thanksgiving. They call it the Feast of Thanksgiving, but that's also dedicated to a god and a deity. You see those Thanksgiving Day advertisements that's got the cranberry sauce and that spread with the fruit and things like that. That is indicative or representative of a fertility goddess. They made a national day of Thanksgiving after murdering our brothers, the tribe of Gad. You understand? If you love your people, if you love God's chosen people, you would never celebrate these things. That's why high holy days like the Day of Atonement are built into our calendar. This is what our life is supposed to revolve around. When if you are in the world, your life revolves around the days that you don't have to slave. It revolves around the holidays, the time that you can be off, the time that you can actually spend time with your family and relax and get to enjoy all of the things that you purchase, because they're going to give you a 2-3 day weekend. You know, you're going to finally get paid what you were worth the whole time, the overtime, the sales are going to be in proper place just to spur you into that retail spirit to worship all of their customs, which is just about money. You understand? The Thanksgiving, the Halloween, the Christmas, the Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, New Year's Day is just about getting you to give your money. That's what the worship of all those other gods are. That's why Christ said, ye cannot serve the Most High and serve mammon, which is wealth. You understand? Well, let's get some more of these. You understand? The Lord said, charge them that are rich in this world in 1 Timothy 6:17, that are not high-minded. Imagine you with all the wealth and the riches and the companies and how they treated God's chosen people. Brothers and sisters have enough money and wealth to pay their bills, to get their cars, to get whatever they want in their life, and then they don't have time for the Most High. I got my slave, I got this, I got that, I can take care of myself. Nobody really wants to hear what the Most High says until COVID comes. And then everybody gets sick and your slavery shuts down and your company tanks. And then you are without a slavery and you find yourself homeless. Then they repossess your house. Then they close down the shelters. Then the police knock down all the tent cities, so we can't even be homeless in the city where we used to have a home. You understand? Then you disappear by the thousands from every city. You understand? You'll notice every city across America, there are hundreds and hundreds of people missing. You would see the homeless everywhere. You don't see homeless anywhere anymore. You understand? COVID comes shut everything down. Like the Lord is saying, don't trust in your riches. Don't ignore the Most High and think because you have a job, you have money, you got a bank account or some investment portfolio or retirement, that means that you can ignore, that we can ignore the Most High because you are able to make money. The Lord will have it to where there is no money coming and you don't have a place and you don't have a house and you lose your health and your woman takes your kids and everything. You understand? Like, this is why the Lord wants us to be in this proper spirit and why these high holy days are put to refocus our nation back to have our mind set the way that the Lord wants us to think, man. But everybody coming off of that fast, man, you did a glorious and wonderful thing in the sight of the Most High, that is said, but in the living God who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Like the Lord provides wealth for our people. And in this evil kingdom, the Lord has provided tons of wealth and resources for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The Bureau of Indian Affairs has the resources for the tribe of Gad. You understand? The civil rights leaders and Christian preachers and all your mayors and governors and senators, they have ample resources that America has allotted to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The problem is they believe that it is a waste to spend it on our people. I never forget in Washington, D.C., they had to get rid of a couple of superintendents. They had books, new computers, laptops, chairs, desks, books, everything that had been in plastic for over a decade that was sitting in the attic. They were in the attic of schools because they did not want to waste this new books, this new everything. They felt it was an absolute waste to give it to the children that they were designed and paid and purchased for, because they did not believe in the children. They didn't believe that it would be used. They believed it would be wasted. They believed that it was a poor investment into the education of Black children. That's why they just kept it up there. For those of y'all that don't know, Washington, D.C. was damn near 100% Black all throughout the 80s and the 90s. It was probably the blackest place in America next to Harlem, Detroit, and Baltimore. You understand? And of course, through gentrification, integration, crack cocaine, heroin, drug wars, mass incarceration, and murder, the more and more we became Americans, which our people suffered to stay separate. And the Lord wanted us to hold on to that because it made us strong. That's what the Day of Atonement is about, to make us strong by suffering through something that we need to survive. We could have continued to suffer on the black side of town, and eventually we would have built ourselves up like we built those schools and those HBCUs and those black towns and those businesses, black cab companies. We were supposed to continue to build up our own. But our leaders who did not suffer, who didn't want to suffer for righteousness' sake, they wanted us to suffer as criminals against the Most High, forcing our oppressors to take our money in their businesses, where not only did they not want us, but they would kill and harm us for even going there. You understand? These are traitors of our people, and that is who is in charge if you are outside of the body of Christ, which is in the ISUPK, man. The Lord said in Ecclesiasticus 2:1 again, he said, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Now, ISUPK is no cowards. You understand? Learn to fight your demons, fight temptations. Do not have sex with another brother's woman, man. Do not steal from a brother. Don't rob a brother. You poor, don't go into a life of crime because you are poor. America promotes that lifestyle, and they use our music. Our music, before we integrated, before our people suffered playing black music about black issues on the black side of town, before we integrated our music. And then we did what was best for white society with our black music, which is teach other young black men and women and Hispanics and Native Americans to be whores with our music, to turn our sisters into whores, to promote being whores, to promote a brother being a whoremonger, which is someone who buys whores. That's what your OnlyFans is about. Hey, shalom, with Charlie Boo, shalom. All right. That's what your OnlyFans, your back page, your plenty of fish, all of this nonsense. That is what has been promoted through our music. The white music is not about that. Country music, Willie Nelson and them, they're not singing about that. To be a drug dealer, the top kingpin. You understand? You are not the only brother that is poor. You in your poverty does not give you a right to be a robber, to be a murderer, to be a drug dealer. That does not give you the right to kidnap and sex traffic because you're poor. That doesn't give you the right to prostitute yourself because you are poor, because you are hungry. That does not give you the right. This evil society teaches that is the solution to the problem. But the real solution to the problem is to get in the ISUPK. You understand? Where the Lord's resources are, where your brothers and sisters are that are willing to suffer so that you will have something that you need to survive, while we build up the kingdom of Christ to eventually none of our people will go without. That is what we're building here. The only reason we're in this condition is because the evil, wicked, rich and our leaders hoard all the resources that have been given to them that are to be dispersed throughout our nation. You understand? All right, so that's what the Lord is saying, man. Prepare your soul for temptation. Fight your demons, man. You can beat that weed. You can get off of weed. It may be difficult, you understand, but you can get off of weed. You can get off of Percocets. But you must be taught that God is against us for the lifestyle of being a drug addict. God is against us for the lifestyle of being a drug dealer. God will be against your children for you selling drugs. You understand? You being a drug dealer, the Lord will you'll mess around, and some other drug dealer will give your daughter her first Percocet. They'll give your son their first blunt laced with PCP or crystal meth or fentanyl. They'll give your nephew, your son, and your daughter. You understand? You think it's so cool to be a drug dealer, the Lord will kill your family to make you suffer for the evil that you are doing. God does these things. The Lord kills and he makes alive. It's not the God you've been taught about in the Christian church, man. The Lord will make sure that someone has a heart attack from all the weed that's being promoted. Smoking weed it weakens your heart. It weakens the ventricles in your heart that need to be strong muscles to pump blood. That's why so many people younger and younger are dying of heart attacks, heart failure. From the lean, your blood doesn't flow properly. The Percocets, the opioids, you understand, the cannabinoids. You understand? America promotes a wicked, lust-filled lifestyle that destroys our people. And the Day of Atonement is an exercise in fighting against that evil. All right? Hey, shalom, sis, y'all, Shamala, thought she never shot. Okay? So let's get to that, man. The Lord wants us to be strong. All right? So let's switch gears here. Let's get back to what the Lord was saying. And to a brother who fought to be strong. He just stood with the Most High. Our forefather Abraham. I'm going to get back to where we were in Abraham's story, man. Genesis chapter 13. We're going to get back to Abraham. This was a brother who stood with the Most High. You understand? He stood with the Lord. He stood when there was no one else that stood with the Lord, and he laid the groundwork and a foundation that is talked about thousands and thousands of years later that the Lord used to establish a covenant that he promised and passed down to his sons. The things that we do serving the Most High, the Lord said, if you honor me, I will honor your children. But he said, if you forget me, I will also forget your sons, your children, and your children's children. And where we are as a people in a state that the Lord has forgotten our children. You understand? The Lord has forgotten our children. That's why they're getting gunned down in the street. They're getting kidnapped and they're going missing. We want the Lord to remember our children by standing with the Most High. And that is what the brothers and sisters in the ISUPK have done, to stand with the Lord that he might have mercy on our nation and forgive the evil that we all have done, man, until we come into the truth to change our lives. So now we're going back to Genesis chapter 13 and verse 12. Just to recap, we were there that Abraham left his homeland. He just leaving the land. Now there's an issue coming because he's with his nephew Lot. They're filled with wealth. They have all kinds of power and wealth, just leaving. And now they are in a certain place and they're getting ready to divide and split up. In the fields of Canaan, they're going to split up because they are too wealthy. They have too much cattle, too much sheep, too much things. The servants for his nephew Lot and the servants for him, they can't be in the same place because the amount of wealth in their cattle and their herds is just too great that their servants are fighting over resources. You understand? So we're going to start at Genesis chapter 13 and verse 7. It says, and there was strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. That's where you get your cowboys from. That's a herdsman. These are people that work the flocks. They herd your sheep, herd your cattle. You understand? That's where you get your furs. That's where you get your leathers, your blankets, your raw hides for your rope, your bone from the animals to do different things with. That's where you get your meat, your steak, your ribs, your sirloin, your Angus, your porterhouse, all the things that you do. You understand? Whatever you want to cook and eat on that cow is lawful. Your ox tail, you understand? Your cow tongue. Whatever you eat and all of that cow is good and lawful. You get down with it. All right. Well, the Lord blessed them so much that they had too many cattle. All right. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled in the land. These were other nations of people. They lived in the land. They were not God's chosen people. They weren't the children. They weren't the family or the lineage of Abraham, but they also lived in the land. That's why it's saying that. And Abram said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen. He said, let's not have a beef. The Lord has blessed us. Let's not have a fight over this wealth that the Lord has blessed us with. This is a good thing. Let's just spread out some. There's a whole lot of land. Let's just get some space between us so our cattle will have space to grow and graze, and we don't have to have no fights. You understand? It said, for we be brethren. We're brothers. We are the same family line, the same lineage. There's no reason for us to fight over this. Verse 9, it says, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray, from me, If thou will take the left hand, then I will go right. If thou will depart to the right, then I will go left. He said, let's just split up. You take a side, I'll take a side. We don't have to be over here fighting amongst each other with all this wealth and this power until eventually our servants end up killing each other, because we are doing so well. You understand? So verse 10, and Lot lifted up his eyes and held all the plain of Jordan. This is where we come from. This is our land, the plain of Jordan. Of course, if you don't know, Jordan is in the Middle East. It's not in Africa. We don't come from Africa. Civilization did not start in Africa. You understand? We are not Africans. If you are black, you are no more an African than a Mexican or a Native American. Is goat lawful? Yes, goat is lawful. That's correct. Goat is lawful. You can get down with your goat. Shalom. Y'all should break it down.
Shalom.
Goat is very lawful. Get your goat. You can sirloin, you can stew it and get your onions in there, your bitter herbs, whatever you want to do to that goat is lawful. The whole thing. Get down. Right. Good and lawful. All right. Come. All right. And then he said in verse, where we at? We in the middle of 10. Yeah, go ahead and read verse 10.
That it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah.
Before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. That's very important. Sodom and Gomorrah, one of the most famous sodomites of all times, that Netflix and every other streaming service is destined to force you to watch his goddamn special in one form or another. This damn Jeffrey Dahmer. If I see one more damn advertisement about this cannibal nigger-eating sodomite anywhere on my TV, everywhere, the goddamn news and Tubi, Facebook, YouTube, the commercials, everybody advertising this goddamn Jeffrey Dahmer. You understand? I'm fighting it. I'm fighting the current of the air, the winds, the radio waves, the 5G waves. I'm fighting it all from this goddamn series that everything is trying to force you to watch this Jeffrey Dahmer series. Right. Well, this was Jeffrey Dahmer's paradise capital, Sodom and Gomorrah, the LGBTQ utopia of planet Earth. You understand? Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, this is where Lot decided to live. They separated. Lot took his wealth, his cattle, everything that he had, his servants, and then he went on to Sodom and Gomorrah. So keep going.
Like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar.
Is he's given the GPS, he's given locations. Egypt was once prosperous. That Nile River flowed good, mighty, and strong at one point. The Lord did away with that, just like he did away with Sodom and Gomorrah. And you're not going to find Zoar blessed like it was either. The Lord did away with most of these, if not all of them, that wealth and power that they had at some point in time. Every world empire has their chance to rule, has their glory, just like a flower. Every flower has its chance to glory and shine. You understand? Like a man and a woman. A woman has a chance to blossom, glory, and shine. Some women last much longer than others. You understand? If you Black, Hispanic, or Native American, your glory lasts much longer than the Shedemites. You understand? Oh, Karen, she got about maybe a good 23 years on her. She hit 26. That's a 40-year-old woman. You understand? Without Newports, crack cocaine, stress, high blood pressure, and diabetes, a sister damn near will look the same age for 40, 50 years without horrible medical illnesses. You understand? So we weren't ever supposed to look or fall sick or get out of shape. That's just a residue of what the Lord had blessed us with. And once we started sinning, then the Lord started taking things away from us. All right. But go ahead.
Verse 11. Then Lot shows him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other.
All right, go ahead.
Verse 12. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan.
The land of Canaan. Canaan was always our land. You understand?
And Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain.
He dwelled in the cities of the plain. And mind you, this is not just one brother living by himself. This ain't one man living by himself. He dwelled in the cities of the plain. So you got cities that set up. The plain is like an open field. And then you establish cities in those open fields. Today, so much of the world is quote unquote, or let's just use America for example, not the world. There's a lot of civilization built. Civilization, you build cities, a place where people bringing in wealth, bringing in resources that's constantly being developed. You get your houses, your wood, your workers, people come there to earn money. They got food, a sustainable food supply, sustainable economy. That way that people can make a regular living instead of just living out in the plain in the middle of nowhere, struggling to survive. Where's the water? Where's the next meal? Like a wilderness or a place without resources. That's why you make a city. The city harbors resources together. That town, you grow, it gets bigger and bigger from that family. Eventually that town becomes a city, and other people, other families come into that city to work and grow, and it gets built up bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what happens. You understand? The recipe for how to do that, of course, is also in the Bible. It tells you how to establish cities, where to put your waste, how to survey the land, where to do with your water, where to put your cattle, how to set up a house, how to deal with your roof, how to make sure there's no mold anywhere, where to put the temple, how to establish the officers that's going to be in charge of dealing with the issues between the brothers and sisters all throughout this city, so you don't just have niggas in the wilderness stabbing each other every night. You understand? Like how it is in everybody's apartment complex everywhere you go, where Black and Hispanics live. Niggas fighting, yelling, fussing, cussing, busting shots, stabbing, knife fights, broken glass. Here comes the police and the ambulance. That's why it was filled with officers. Your cities are supposed to be filled with thousands of UPK officers. The problem is you all went to church and you went to the mosque and you went to the military. You went to Esau's military, his Marines. You became his sailors and his soldiers, and you pledge allegiance to the flag, and you my country 'tis of thee, and you join your oppressor. That's why your city is filled with shootings and murders and rapes and kidnappings and robbings, because they didn't come to where the Lord said to come to be built up and trained to secure a city. That's how we maintain our own economies. That's how we have everything to ourselves, which is what Abraham is doing with his wealth, because that's what's contained in the law.
Right.
You understand? So keep going.
Sir. Verse 12. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan. Oh, Salaki, sir. And pitched his tents towards Sodom.
He pitched up his tent towards Sodom. His tent, the place where he lived. That's his home, his house. He's pitching a tent. He dwelled in the cities of the plain. That's also why it's very important. You got to know where you're going. Not only you got to know where you're going, you got to know who lives there. You got to know what type of people are there. You can't just let anybody just come into your city, come into your town. You got to know who is coming and going. They have that, they call it secured community or a gated community. Somebody's on watch, on patrol. Everyone and everything should not be free to come and go in the community. You should know who's there. What is the spirit on these people? Is there some more sneaky backhanded bastard trying to sneak cocaine and pills into the neighborhood to have the Lord curse the entire community so that the Arab and African kidnappers can show up and the mosque can show up and the white man's task force that's going to murder Breonna Taylor or shoot at Tatiana Jefferson in her goddamn living room because you selling drugs in the neighborhood? Like, there has to be people in charge. Well, there were when fathers were in charge, but we've had decades of mommy being in charge where everybody does what the hell they feel is right. And then you got church and nobody knows what the Lord actually wants. Everybody just does whatever they think is right. Next thing you know, Jeffrey Dahmer is on the loose eating niggas, and, you know, it just happens. Everything just happens. Life just falls to hell because the order that the Lord set up is not there.
Right.
And that's why Abraham is so very important, because he is the lineage to building the Lord's reputation so we can know how to function, how he operates, and how to deal right with each other and learn from his mistakes and what happened in his life. And also till we get to where we are a fully formed nation, chapters and generations and decades down, because whether you like it or not, if you are Black, Hispanic, or Native American, we have to rebuild our nation. You going to work, paying your taxes, paying your mortgage, paying your rent. Listen, if that property tax goes up, you can pay off that mortgage all you want. They'll take that damn house from you. Some Arab who has a fully functioning society, who has a God based around his society and a language and his heritage, he's going to go and buy your homes for pennies on the dollar, and you're going to get put out the city. It happens in every city.
Right.
Everywhere we are, it happens. You understand? Abraham is in Canaan. Once we leave Egypt after 300 years, later on in the book of Genesis, we come back to Canaan. It's filled with people living in our land. That's why the Lord gave a command for Joshua and Moses. Well, but Joshua, because Moses was gone. He didn't get to go into the land. The Lord gave a command to kill all of those people and get them off of our land because they couldn't stay there. It didn't belong to them in the first place. You understand? So that's just how important this lineage is. Of course, we're not saying go and kill all the heathen living in your neighborhood because they're another race of people. That's not what we're saying. You understand?
God.
You simpletons that's out there that sit in UPK classes to steal breakdowns and mess them up without coming to actual class to be in proper order. So everybody will know. The FBI is going to find your simple behind anyway. You understand?
Right.
So keep going.
Verse 13. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Most High exceedingly.
Not only were they wicked and they were sinners, but they were exceedingly wicked. Their wickedness was special. They wasn't just regular wicked. They had wicked with a cherry on top. You understand? A special type of evil. A special type of evil that was so horrible that the Lord had to burn the damn place from existence. You can't find Sodom and Gomorrah on a map anywhere because it's just sand and salt overlain with thousands of years of more sand and salt. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 14. And the Most High said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward.
Let's pay attention to that. That's important that the Lord put in there. The Most High said to Abram after Lot was separated from him. Right?
Right, sir.
What was the Most High saying to Abram when Lot was not separated? What did he tell him?
Like, sir, if I could.
Go ahead.
Telling them to separate.
Oh, where you at? Take me back to Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. The Bible is black.
Sir.
The Bible is black. These are all black people we looking about. You're gonna learn. These are all black people. Give me Genesis chapter 12 and verse 1. See what the Lord's instructions were.
Sir.
Go ahead, read that.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Most High had said unto Abram.
Said to who?
Unto Abram.
He said to Abram. Go ahead.
Get thee out of thy country.
Leave your country, your land where you're from, where your people are. Leave there. Go ahead.
And from thy kindred.
From who?
Thy kindred.
Your cousins. Who?
Thy kindred.
Your brothers and your nephews. Who?
Thy kindred.
Your aunts and your uncles. Who?
Thy kindred.
Your mama and your daddy. Who?
Thy kindred.
This was the first set of instructions. That's why we so specific on instructions in the UPK, and the Lord's instructions are very specific. And it can be easy to overlook. That may seem like a small thing. It can be easy to overlook. The Lord said, get away from your family. Keep going.
Sir. And from thy father's house.
Leave your father's house. Leave that, your country, your father's house, your family. Keep going.
Unto a land that I will sow thee.
I'm going to show you that land. Of course, when he says get you out, he said, leave from your land, your father's house. I'm going to take you to a land I'm going to show you. Skip me down to verse 5. I want to make sure this is important. Give me verse 5.
Verse 5. And Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son.
And who?
and Lot his brother's son.
Remember, every time you see in the Bible where you see the words if, and, or but, these are some of the most important things in the scripture. Don't skip over. You can very easily miss it. It's a spiritual tool that I'm developing. You brothers and sisters been in class any point in time, any number of classes. This is a very important spiritual tool that you'll see. And he took his wife. He's supposed to take his wife. Two become one flesh. He didn't lay with her. She don't get left there. He took his wife with him, going on a journey, going to be a great nation. Sarah's supposed to come. Sarah's supposed to come. At this point, there are plenty of missions you serve the Lord where you're not going to take your wife. When Christ come on the scene, Christ took those disciples from that wife and that family. But this is a brother who left his family, the first one who left his family to serve the Most High. Adam was not required to leave his family to serve the Most High. Noah was not required to leave his family to serve the Most High. But the Lord required this brother to get away from his family that he was going to do something great with. You understand? You might have to not speak to aunts and uncles and cousins and nephews and mama anymore. In order for you to be any good to the Most High, you might have to never get invited to that family barbecue. Here's the difference. You no longer get invited to that family barbecue ever. And they all stop talking to you. And they've talked to you your whole life, however many 20, 30, 40, 60 years of your life. They all hate you. They don't talk to you anymore because you don't eat pork, crab, shrimp, and lobster. You don't go to church anymore. You're not a Muslim anymore. You're not fasting for Ramadan. You're doing Day of Atonement and Passover, Memorial blowing of trumpets, Hanukkah. You're doing what the Lord requires. You leave, and now you work to build up the Lord's kingdom. With brothers who've been strung out on crack cocaine and heroin their entire life, finally get off of cocaine for good. With brothers who've been struggling with weed. Weed is the new cocaine. You young brothers strung out on weed, you smoking weed that got more chemicals in it than any of the other goddamn drugs anywhere else. Swear you're not a drug addict. You need weed to go to sleep. It's a wake and bake. You need weed to close your eyes. Weed to get your diet going. Weed for every goddamn thing. You're sad, you need weed. You're happy, you need weed. In the morning, you need weed because you just finished smoking weed. You are a horrible drug addict, and it's ruining your heart. It's ruining your children. I was seeing some poor brother, you understand, is sitting there with a blunt that's about 5 inches long with a baby by his feet. He's going to go and get high with some baby with an undeveloped brain, an undeveloped speech, undeveloped everything, and you're going to destroy your children because you're a drug addict. Brittany Griner is going to go to Russia and get 10 years in Russian prison by smuggling drugs from America to Russia because she's a drug addict. That goddamn weed is a drug. You have to get off of it. You're going to ruin your life thinking that it's something small, thinking that it's legal and it's okay. You're going to ruin your life. You end up in jail. You end up in a fight in jail. And that fight in jail is going to get you more time. And then the next time you're going to get, you won't be able to afford the lawyer. You're going to lose the job. You're going to lose the job. They're going to disconnect your phone. They're going to take your car. You're going to get put out of your apartment. Then you understand it's a snowball effect that you can't see unless you're a prophet of the Lord.
That's right.
It's a warning from the Most High. You understand? Stop getting high. Come to class. Fight get in this Day of Atonement. You can do without food and drink for 24 hours. You can bit by bit chomp away at Newports, backwoods, you understand, ounces, onions, everything. You can get away from it, man. Stay strong. All right. Come in class, get some strength in you. Get a beard on that face, get some hair on that head, man. Get some strength in you. This warfare on, all right?
Right.
Your brothers that help you and fight with you and stand and fight for you, which is what the Lord was raising up Abraham's lineage to fight and build him a nation. All right. So he told Abram, because his name is not Abraham at this point. He told Abram very specific instructions. Read verse 5.
Kind of, sir. And Abram took Sarai, his wife.
All right.
And Lot, his brother's son.
His brother's son. The instructions in verse 1 said to get away from thy country and thy kindred, but he took his nephew with him. Those were not the instructions, but he did. It's not magic. The Bible is not magic. He didn't magically understand what the Lord was saying, just like the disciples did not magically understand what Christ was saying. Don't come into the truth trying to understand and explain and reason things. You don't know the Bible. We do. Do what we say. You'll learn more eventually. Just keep coming. You don't know what the hell Shimon and them and the Hyundai, Shimon and Naya is. You don't know what the hell them preachers are saying, but they con you, your mama, and your aunt out of $20 every time they do that nonsense. And that goddamn building ain't been built yet. With the church building fund. Ain't their building got built yet. You've been given to that damn building fund. You understand? Keep going.
Kind of, sir. And all their substance that they had gathered.
All of their wealth, all of their substance, everything. They took all this stuff with him. Keep going.
And the souls that they had gotten in Haran.
So this brother is traveling in essence with a town. Once again, he's not moving by himself, just like you see in the book in the beginning in Adam. You understand in Genesis, the beginning, these are not one or two people by themselves. Adam was not the only man. Eve was not the only woman. The earth was filled with people, and those people are insignificant. Absolutely insignificant to the Bible, and the Lord did not care about any of them. That's why you don't know who they are. They don't matter. You understand? But the earth was filled with people. Adam and Eve were not alone. And Abraham was not alone, just him and his wife, how they depicted in all of those silly Bible movies that you watched as a kid. None of that's accurate. You got to get all of that out of your mind. All that's fake. Everybody was black anyway. You understand? No tanned white men in Egypt. That's not who was in Egypt. All right. So his wealth, his servants, the people that are fighting in chapter 13 over the cattle and the sheep and the goats and the camels. This is not one man with hundreds of goats and camels and sheep and cattle. One man does not herd all of these animals. He has workers with him. If you ever been on a farm, they have what's called farm hands. You got horses. You need people to wash and feed the horses. You got goats and camels because you're in the desert. You need camels. Camels got to be brushed and combed and fed. You got goats and sheep. You get the picture. This is who's going with him. So we can ready to go back to chapter 13 so you can get an idea of what Lot has with him and what Abram has with him. So finish 12. Finish where you are.
Kind of, sir. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan.
Hey, shalom, sis, Lord of Christ.
And into the land of Canaan they came.
They went to Canaan. Now we're in our land. The land of Canaan has always belonged to us. The instructions was to leave your family. Leave your relative, your kindred. Your kindred are your relatives. He didn't say go by yourself. You understand? He didn't tell them to go by yourself. He said leave your kindred, your relatives. You got something, Raj?
Counselor Slack, I did have a question, sir.
Go ahead.
It's about the covenant. It's somewhat off topic, but on topic because I know the covenant was made with Abraham, and specifically in Genesis 17 when it talked about a lot of fake Israelites were saying that the covenant, the original covenant, allowed heathens to be accepted as long as they were circumcised, and I think I'm not sure what they're misreading about when it says the ones that are not of your family, circumcise them too to be a part of you, something like that. I don't know what they were talking about, sir.
Pull the scripture.
Come, sir.
You know what exact scripture they're using for this?
Kind of, sir, when it came to the explaining of the covenant. Kind of, sir.
Depends which part of the covenant. We got another covenant that was made in Exodus chapter 24, verse 7 and 8. That one was with the blood of bulls and goats. That's when the priesthood was established with that covenant coming out of Egypt. Right. All of these things are what happened is being written by Moses. The angel of the Lord is telling Moses what to write for 40 days in the wilderness.
Con.
The first 5 books, known as the first 5 books of Moses. That's what's going on.
Con, sir. So the question would be through Genesis chapter 17, verses 10 through 14, where it talks about the foreskin and the circumcision.
All right, Genesis chapter 17. Let me get there. Genesis chapter 17. And what is their question? Starts in 14.
Kind of a concert when it talks about well, not 14, more so I believe we're probably talking about 12 and 13, when it talks about he that is born in thy house and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And
I see verse 7.
kind of concert, and you have verse 12 as well. And he that is in 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. So I think that's what they're trying to prove, that this is talking about other nations and races of people being in the covenant.
Who was the covenant made with? What is the actual covenant?
The covenant, what is the actual covenant, sir?
Right.
Kind of a sir. The actual covenant is the agreement with whoever the Lord decided to deal with, right, sir?
A little bit more. That's
kind
why the previous verses are important. Give me verse 7.
Kind of, sir. Genesis chapter 17, verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant.
That's who the actual covenant is for. Keep going.
Kind of a concert. To be a God unto thee.
Be a God unto thee. That's why we say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The only reason that Isaac and Jacob matter is because of Abraham. Right here. This is it right here. Verse 7. Keep going.
And to thy seed after thee.
To thy what?
To thy seed after thee.
That's who the covenant is for. Remember the very specifics. While it's very spiritual, you ask that question. Because what I just had everybody do, we went to Genesis, the 13th chapter, and Lot goes to live in the plains of Gomorrah. Then we went back to Genesis, the 12th chapter, to see what were the actual specific instructions that the Lord gave to Abraham. One of those instructions, get away from your country, get away from your kindred. He left his country, but he brought his kindred with him. And that kindred had nothing but problems ever since. And eventually, at the end of the problems that kindred had, what happened to Lot?
Sir.
Go ahead.
His daughters end up having sex with him.
They didn't just have sex with him.
But they drugged him. They pretty much got him drunk.
They Bill Cosby'd him. They got him drunk, passed out, and then each of his daughters took their turns and raped their father. And they had nice incest babies, which today are your Japanese and your Chinese. They're all your Asians. Your Moabites, which is the Chinese and your Koreans, and the Japanese, which are all the rest of the Asians. I mean, the Ammonites, or the Japanese are the Ammonites. All the rest of the Asians are Moabites. The biggest family of Lot's children is the Moabites. The so-called Chinese is the most prominent of that family. Then you got the other Asians. The darker your skin is, they'll name the country something different. Because they want everybody to be nice and bright and white looking. Since the British ruled over and enslaved and robbed and drugged everybody, they set up a class system by skin color, which of course did not exist in a world where everyone was brown and the only people were white were the murderers. They changed that class. That's why the people you see on TV that represent, they're extremely pale, which you cannot stay that color in a bright, sunny ass country in the middle. It's like in a bright, sunny country in the Middle East. You can't stay that color with that much sun. You understand? It's not possible. All right. Keep going. That's who the covenant was for. Now go back to your question.
Kind of sir. Verse 12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you.
Salaki, go back down to verse. Where we at? What number you at? 12?
I was at 12, kind of sir, but I got finished reading 7 for you, sir.
Finish 7.
Kind of sir. To be a God unto thee and to the seed after thee.
This God of Abraham is only the God of him and his seed after thee. Now, if these people live in your house, they're not going to serve their God in your house. They're not going to serve your God because your God does not accept them if they are another nation of people.
Right.
The people that left with Abraham, they were of his people. They weren't of his kindred. Remember, Abraham wasn't one person. He came from a family. That's why at the end of Genesis, the 11th chapter, it lists an entire genealogy of people until we get to Terah, and then we get to Abraham. You got Ur Chaldees, then you get to Abraham. This is where Abraham's story starts. He's not the only person of his people. The covenant is going to his seeds. Those other people are not a part of the covenant. And this is why he has to keep narrowing it down to make the lineage holy. You got these other nations of people. Abraham's family, Lot wasn't supposed to be there. Lot dragged along on the journey. You see what happened to Lot. The other people who work with him, that tend to the cattle, tend to the sheep, because Abraham's not alone, they are also going with him. His battle's here. He's moving there. He's living there. He has a whole town that's rolling with him. You understand? These are not just a few people. They are not who the covenant is for. Covenant doesn't go to them. They from back in the land. Let's use this so everyone can understand who's listening to the class. Let me just use this for an example. Let's say I'm leaving Virginia. The Lord said, I'm going to make you a covenant. Get out of the land of Richmond and sojourn down unto the roads of Hampton, and I'll make you a great nation. Well, we get to Hampton, but I don't leave with myself. I got my mechanics with me, the people that built my house, some friends of my mom and my dad, the people they went to school with, the people from the 10. Everybody know I'm going somewhere. It's going to be great. They rolling with me. All right. The Lord is going to make a covenant with me. They are still coming with me. The future generations are going to narrow down this covenant. In Isaac shall thy seed be called. You got hundreds of people that are not getting this covenant, but they're still with you. They serve you. They work with you. I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse them that curse thee. The Lord also said this in Genesis, the 12th chapter. The only reason that the Egyptians and the other nations are getting punished is because of the evil that they did to us. They're not being punished just because they're not Israelites. They did crimes against our people. That's why they're facing punishment. If they had not done evil, if Egypt had not done evil against us, we would have went and served the Lord for the third day. Egypt probably would have been just fine. But the cruelty that they did to us to maintain their power unnecessarily, because we were already making them rich.
Right.
We love the damn Egyptians. Negroes today still love Egypt. We got in the wilderness. They wanted to go back to Egypt. We love the Egyptians. But the evil that they did needed to be punished. That's a very important thing. It's a very important concept throughout the Bible. These other people, they're still my people. They're still Virginians, like I'm a Virginian. Right. We're leaving Richmond and we're going to Hampton Roads. They're still my people, but they're not who the covenant and the promise is for. They will work with my cattle, my sheep, make my horses fed, patrol my lawn. We get into beef. They're going to help me fight the other people. All of these things, they're still my people, but the covenant for the future generations is not for them. So let's keep going.
Sir. Verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger.
This is an inheritance that is getting passed down, and it is something that free men understand. That's why we're going back and going over this. The people who are kind to you, that are nice to you, that help you along the way, that is fine. That does not mean you give your soul over to them because they aren't slitting your wrist. Because some Arabs, some East Indians, some Moabites, some Ishmaelites, some Elamites, some Edomite, someone is kind to you, they'll help you, they deal right or fairly with you. That does not mean your soul is given to them. Your inheritance for your children is now split with them because they smiled at you every day, because they said good morning, because you sat down at a table to eat and they didn't spit in your face, because they gave you some chicken when you gave them money for chicken. You don't just give your soul and your inheritance over just because someone is kind for you to you. And this is a hard concept to teach our people, which is why once we have a nation, we have borders. And there are people that keep what's inside of the borders from going out and what's outside of the borders from going in, because our people are dumb and simple like sheep. And the other nations know that they could always exploit this by simply just being kind to us, just giving us what you want. Y'all like hoes? We got hoes. I know y'all can't have hoes over there. We got tons of hoes, all colors. Just come over here. I know y'all like to get high. Y'all God don't like to get high. We got the Baalim. We get smashed over here. You come over here with Baalim, you ain't got to worry about none of that. Set up these groves, get you as many of them as you like. They plotting on setting up shops and businesses all over your empire while you starve to death. Them and some other heathen is behind the scenes working. Yeah, we know they God gonna turn on them if they like these here and this and this. And y'all got this. Instead of us just going to war fighting them head up, let's just give them what they want. And then they know, next thing you know, you get some old weak leader. He fall for old nasty Wambutu. Next thing you know, Jezebel, we got a damn queen in Israel, and her order is to kill the prophets and get rid of the temple. You understand? They plot on our people. We don't think that way. We just happy like a child having fun, playing in the street until the damn car comes and run us the hell over. Like, that's why the Lord said, I set the watchmen over the house of Israel to give them warning. Nobody wanted to hear the watchmen any damn way. You understand? Long story short, we in slave ships, we in America, we in reservations, we in the ghetto, we in dog cages and INS detention centers. And here the prophets are once again teaching us the same lessons the Lord has been trying to get us to learn since the book of Genesis. You understand? So keep going. Everywhere he's saying in each of these scriptures, this is my covenant between thee and your seed, between you and your seed. My covenant, which I'm going to keep between you and your seed. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. The covenant is for you and your seed. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. The covenant is not going to you just because you're a man child. The only people having children is not just going to be me. Remind you, Abraham left at 75. This is not a young brother. Of course, we lived much longer, but this is not a young brother. That's why him and Sarah laughed in Genesis, the 25th chapter. He talking about you going to have a child. And she said, who going to have a child?
Right.
I ain't had no cycle in decades. You out of your mind. She laughing. They thinking it's a joke, and the Lord is getting mad. You understand? They're like, man, who having no child? Ain't having no kids. Shit, not me. No. I tell you what, this old young thing over here, let my husband go tear her up. Let her have a baby. That's how Ishmael got born. No, that was not the child of the promise. Oh, another promise created. You understand? This is not church. This is not Disney. This is not magic. They didn't understand what the Lord was saying. This is not magic. He said, every male child who had a boy, everybody gets circumcised. Y'all work for me. He's a male, get him circumcised. There were tons of people with Abraham. None of them was who the covenant was for. The covenant was for his children. Abraham was old. He wasn't having no kids. The one that he had was a child that was not of the covenant, and then it was a child that was of the covenant, Ishmael and Isaac. Those were his two. Everybody else is still having kids.
Right.
The Lord said, every male child born among you going to get circumcised. You got a boy, circumcised. That does not mean that your son is getting the covenant, because you with me. The covenant is for my son and their sons. But you with me, everybody gets circumcised. And that's it. Did the Lord intend for all of the non-descendants of Abraham to get their children circumcised? Is that what the Lord intended? Maybe, maybe not. But the covenant is not for them.
Right.
They are not important. Just like the people who died in the flood are not important. The descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth are not important. Abraham is important. Noah is important. Enoch was important. Adam was important. Isaac is important. Jacob is important. Yahweh is important. The other people are not important.
Right.
Everybody knows who's the star of the movie. Nobody knows who's the cameraman. Nobody knows who's the chef preparing lunches in the trailer, who's back there curling the star's hair, who's sweeping up the floor, taking out the trash. Nobody knows them. They're there, but they're not important like the star. And that's what we're learning. All right, so keep going.
Sir. All the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession. And I will be their God.
I'm going to be the God of your seed and your children. And each verse is constantly saying, and thy seed, my covenant, you, me, and your seed, you, me, and your seed, my covenant, thy covenant. The problem is fake Israelites who are Christians want to find a way to love the other nations of people. They got what's his name? They got Kanye West in their soul. They want to fight for a chance that Kim Kardashian can get into the kingdom. What's the female Kanye? What's her name? Candace Owens. They got Candace Owens in their soul. They just, not all of them. Just not that one either. That's a good one. She's a good one. White Lives Matter too. We got to get some of them in. Not all of them. You understand? She's good. Like, they just want to find a way to bring a heathen in, and that heathen will be Dylan Roof, and he'll shoot up the church.
Right.
Or to be Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer lived in a building. We never going to get rid of this goddamn Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer lived in a building. Right? He lived in a building. From what I see, there's no one in this building but single black women and their kids.
Right.
How the hell did he get to live in this building with all black women?
Right.
Who approved him moving into this all black woman, the whole building? Whole building. Hot sauce, salt, pepper, wings, greens, mashed potato salad, macaroni and cheese, and then blueberries in the potato salad moves into the goddamn building. This is why you must have borders and a boundary. Nobody was expecting that eagle. She on the phone. I called y'all. They not taking you seriously. Your 911 is a black man. That's what you should have been building up instead of building up NASA and the court system and the all of the damn systems of America you built up. But you stopped building up the black man, which is your 911. And Jeffrey Dahmer is in the house eating all your sons.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, like I said, if I could, during the documentary, they showed the footage of the police officers kind of saying that he purposely went into low income places, which is just where black people live, because there's not that much security.
You know what low income places he did not go into? He didn't go into the projects.
Right.
He wasn't going in that building with 15 niggas out front. He wasn't going in there.
Right.
He wasn't going in there. That's not a ripe area for him to do his secret, nasty sodomite stuff. They were going to see you come in there, and you with them glasses, if you could survive the amount of insults that they were going to throw at you by the time where you going? I know you ain't coming in here with them tight clipboard. Them
Right.
old King of the Hill has I sell propane and propane. You don't get your ass out of here, boy. Definitely would have went back in the car crying, looking for somewhere else. And if he's driving around looking for low income places, then that means he's finding places that aren't suitable.
Right.
You understand? Like these are is very important things. He's not the only one. He's who got caught.
Right.
It's thousands and thousands of brothers and sisters missing all over America. Between
Right.
COVID and the police knocking down the tent cities, everybody getting thrown out of their home, you don't know who anybody is. Some bastard in Ohio had 3 people chained in his basement.
Right.
You understand? I forget who that was. He had 3 people. Somebody was in there. She grew up living in the damn basement. He get her pregnant. She have a baby. The baby is in the basement being raised. Nobody ever
Right.
seen this baby. They knocked out. I forget what his name was. Some other good Catholic that went to church every Sunday that did the silly hand thing. And at no point in time was he ever told that God hates a sinner and you can't kidnap people and you can't rape people and you can't eat people. Like he was never taught that. Neither was Jeffrey Dahmer. Neither was the Pope. No service in Catholic Mass says don't rape. That's not in there.
Right.
No service at your church says you are not allowed to force someone to have sex with you. You can't rape anybody. You can't be a sex trafficker. You can't. That never is said in church. And it is so very important in the Bible. You understand? But we getting a little bit off. You understand? But that's important. Why your boundaries are so important. You understand? So now everybody getting circumcised. Keep going. What scripture were you at? Just call it out from the top.
So verse 9. And God said unto Abraham.
No, just get to where that question was. That
Verse
question
12. Verse 12.
Select.
And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you.
Uh-huh.
Every man child in your generations.
In your what?
In your generations.
What is your generations? What does that mean?
Come on, sir.
They're born in your time, your lifetime, while you're alive. He that is born in thy house. Uh-huh.
Like in your families, in your families to come.
Right. Your generations, your families to come. Keep going.
He that is born in the house.
Those that are born in your house. We didn't have our babies in some hospital somewhere. You were born in the house. It's not normal. You understand? For you to leave and run from your house to go somewhere else where everybody else is having their baby. All they're sick and they're dying and they're wounded. They're all in this one place. And then they have a wing for you just delivering babies. You understand? You would be born in your house. We didn't have hospitals and big medical centers, stuff like that. We did have midwives who were in charge. A midwife is not just whoever helps you deliver the baby. A midwife is a very specific job. She's got training. She knows how to help you deliver. She knows how to deal with birthing, how to deal with health and all kind of things. Like she was just not just someone holding your hand telling you to push. That's not what a midwife was.
Right.
So where we at now? Now it's going to get specific. Keep going.
Come on, sir. Or bought with money.
Bought with money. Who do you buy with money?
It's like so workers.
Workers, exactly. These are your employees. Your employees are bought with money. We don't have a such word as an employee. We have words in Hebrew that in English, they mean 15 different things in English. In Hebrew, we have one word. You understand? I'll give you an example. You good? That's one. You okay? You good? You want to fight? You good? Hey, you good. You know what you're doing. You good. I don't want nothing to do with it. We got one word. It means 10 different things to us. To another nation of people, they need to write 5 and 8, 9, 10 different words because they're not spiritual. They don't understand what we're saying. That's why they think a snake talked and there was some magical apple that Adam and Eve was not supposed to eat that stuck in your throat if you're a man. All kind of silly fairy tale nonsense that Christianity teaches our people to base our lives on as though this is real. And enough people say it, next thing you know, everybody thinks you die and become an angel. There's naked white babies with wings, a whole bunch of silliness, tooth fairy, Santa Claus, a whole bunch of silly things, all right, that we base our life on. Oh, that picture is alive. There's spirit in that picture. Oh, the tarot cards got power. Oh, the zodiac and the sage, and that's why I wear my crystals, because the crystal, this one promotes healing. All kind of different silliness and things that hustlers get to run game on black women for, mostly. That's mostly who falls victim to all of these things. You understand? It just pimp you and scam you for your money, just like the preacher. All right. So keep going.
Come on, sir. Or bought with money of any stranger, which is not
Go ahead.
of thy seed.
Which is not what?
Of thy seed.
Which is not of thy seed. Read that scripture from the top one more time to see what he actually said. And that's it. Read it one more time.
Come on, sir. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generations.
Every man child in your generations, they're going to be circumcised. Keep going.
He that is born in the house.
The ones that are born in your house, the ones from your lineage, and the ones that are born in your house. Keep going.
Or
remember, every time you see those words, if, and, but, or, you understand? Very important. Keep going.
Or bought with money of any stranger.
Bought with money of any strangers. Who bought with money of any strangers? This nigga Roscoe, 45 years old, is going to paint my house? No. He that is 8 days old. This man working on the roof? Because they do roofing over there? No. He that is 8 days old, that is born in the house, or bought with money of any stranger. The stranger? No. He that is 8 days old. Who is this talking about? A baby, a newborn. Keep going.
Come, sir. Which is not of thy seed.
Which is not of thy seed. He's teaching him how to organize his house. Keep going. Give me 13.
Come, sir. Verse 13. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised.
Everyone bought in your house and bought with your money, they must be circumcised. They must be circumcised. Keep going.
And my covenant shall be in your flesh.
My what?
In your flesh. My covenant.
My what?
My covenant.
My covenant. That is a different word. My covenant. What is this covenant about? Give me verse 7 again. Keep going. Give me verse 7. Hold where you are. Go to verse 7. Go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed.
And who?
And thy seed.
And who?
And thy seed.
Start verse 7 again from the top. One more time.
And I will establish my covenant.
This is the covenant. This is who the covenant is for. Go ahead.
Between me and thee, and thy seed.
Me, you, and your kids. Keep going.
After thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee.
To be your God. Keep going.
And to thy seed after thee.
To the descendants of you after you die. That is who the covenant is for. When you go, but now go back to the scripture you were reading. What is after the word circumcised in verse 13? What is that after?
Shall be in your flesh.
It's something in between there. There's something in between there.
Come, sir. And talking about, before, slack it, sir. And my covenant.
1 second. I got you. I got you. There's something in there very important. Let's get it. Let's pull this up. Bear with me just a moment. I'm going to get it for you. Let's see. Colon. There is a colon in between there. It's not a comma. There's a colon. What is a colon?
Like it, sir.
Here we go. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read the definition of a colon. Everything written in that Bible is there for a reason. Fake Israelites, like Christians, they don't have basic reading comprehension. That's why the ISUPK is a school led by priests and prophets with the Spirit of the Lord, who are teachers. You understand? Actual teachers who can teach you what is in the Bible, who can teach you what's being said to communicate with you what the Lord wants Israel to know. In verse 13, after the word circumcise, read 13 again and stop after circumcise.
Come on, sir. He that is born in thy house.
1 second, comma. He that is born in thy house, comma. Keep going.
And he that is bought with thy money.
He that is bought with your money, comma. Keep going.
Must needs be circumcised.
Must needs be circumcised. Colon. Now, let's insert what is the definition of a colon. Colon, instead of a semicolon, may be used between independent clauses when the second sentence explains, illustrates, paraphrases, or expands on the first sentence. Is to expand on the first sentence. These are two independent clauses. What does it mean that this is an independent clause? You understand? Everyone born in your house must be circumcised. It's not a comma, because the comma is just adding things to the statement. It is a colon. The colon is there instead of a comma because he that is born in your house and bought with your money must be circumcised. That was the order that the Lord gave.
Right.
The colon, meaning that this is an independent statement. Everybody in your house must be circumcised. A next statement is independent of the fact that whether they are bought with the money, if they're a stranger, if they're whatever as described in verse 12, this statement now is independent from what was before the colon. Independently from every male born at 8 days needing to be circumcised, whether they are bought with money, whether they are a stranger, whether they are not of thy seed, colon, keep going.
Come on, sir. And my covenant shall be in your flesh.
My what?
My covenant.
My covenant. That's why we went back in verse 7 to read very specifically, who is the covenant for? Thy seed. The generations after thy seed, that I will be their God, they will be my people. This gets repeated over and over again. The reason why you keep hearing Isaac say it, and Jacob say it, and Moses say it, and the prophets say it, and Isaiah and Jeremiah, is because the Lord made this covenant with Abraham. Every male must be circumcised, whether they're a stranger, even if they're not of your seed, if they're born 8 days old, because you got other people who are not your descendants, that I am going to make a great nation. They're not your descendants. They rode with you. They were the gardener. They were the farmer. They were the butcher. They chopped up the meat. They could sow. They are not your descendants. The covenant is not for them. How do we know who the covenant is for? It says it very specifically in the previous 10 verses that we read over and over, that if you are a fake Israelite, your life's goal is just to find a way to save white people.
Right.
You won't see that a colon and a comma means something different. You won't see that covenant says my seed and the generations after your seed. You won't see that. You'll see heathen. covenant, foreskin, covenant, white people can be saved. That's all you're looking for because you got a demon on you. That's why you're not in here. That's why you put baby doll tassels at the end of your t-shirt and you starve your kids to death for Day of Atonement. You don't feed your dogs. You won't let your kids play on the Sabbath service. You're a Christian. That's why you do that. It's why you don't know the Bible. It's why nobody is authorized to teach outside of the ISUPK. You don't have permission from God to teach. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know the Bible. You should be quiet in black, taking notes, saying "Khan out of one Khan and La Asr." That's all you should be doing and paying your tithes. All right. So let's finish this out. So keep going.
Khan, sir. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant.
The circumcision of the foreskin of your rod is a covenant in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. You are going to get used to making sure every male that is in your house be circumcised because no one is writing this down. The Lord is not saying this to anyone. Remember, the Bible is not magic. The Lord didn't tell the children of Israel nothing. The Lord told Moses, and then eventually the Lord told Moses and Aaron. But the Lord didn't tell the children of Israel nothing. They learned because Moses got instructions to say what the Lord told him to tell the children of Israel. That was the Lord saying it. The Lord got instructions given to Abraham. He gave instructions from the Most High. Every male has to be circumcised. These heathen are not getting, or the non-descendants of Abraham. Remember, the Bible is not magic. The Lord is establishing Abraham's history with the Most High. So the children of Israel that will come for future generations, we're not a nation yet. These are still the people that rolled when Abraham left his father's place. He's not a nation. He about to have two boys, and one of them is going to get put out. The nation comes from the future generations, those sons that Isaac and Rebekah are going to make. Then from them, Jacob, the sons, he and those four wives, those four sisters, they are going to make children. The descendants from all of those children that we have, the 70 of us that went into Egypt and the hundreds of thousands and millions of us that left Egypt later, the Lord is establishing a lineage. It doesn't come out of magic. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. So now, when you go back and read the record, this was a covenant that the Lord established with our forefather Abraham, that when you look, all of the rods of all the males are circumcised. This is a covenant of the Most High. Everyone is getting circumcised from now on. Who else was with Abraham? Who was with great-granddaddy Abraham? Is Isaac going to know the people that took care of the horses, that taught him how to ride the horse? Yes or no? Is Isaac, what kids are Isaac going to play with when he's a little boy? See, the Christian church makes the Bible magic. That's why it doesn't make sense. The Christian church makes it seem like there's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Sarah, and it's just them and the planet. That's the same thing they do with Adam and Eve. You understand? There's nobody there. It's just these four people. Somebody, he's playing baseball with somebody. He's running in the field with somebody. He's wrestling and cutting up his knee with somebody. He's learning how to ride his horse from somebody. His daddy is 90. His mama is 90. You think they out there chasing this toddler? Who the hell is help taking care of this boy? The other people. Who's going to cut your grass? Is your brother going to cut your grass? There are no people from this covenant. My son is a newborn. Who the hell is cutting the grass? Who is making the food? Who's killing the butcher? Who's butchering the sheep? Who's cutting the wood so we can make more houses? The other people. Is the covenant for them? No. The covenant is for my son, but he's a baby. Who's going to help me raise this baby? The other people. Eventually, he will have a son. And this covenant that these other people are working and building up my wealth and power for, it's going to go to those descendants. These people working for me, they just have a job. That's all. They just have a job. Walmart is from Sam Walmart. You would live on Walmart's property. be born in some house owned by Walmart because his family is rich and your family is good at brushing horses. So he hires you. Your daddy has kids because you stay in one of these houses that his rich family builds because he needs you there because you raise horse brushers. You raise people that clean the stables. You are now born. You're a stranger. You're not of his seed, but you live there because everyone works for this rich man. Your kids are never going to inherit this Walmart company.
Right.
But you will work there. It's for his kids. You'll work there, though. You'll get benefits from working there. You'll be treated well. I will bless them that bless thee and curse them that curse thee. Christ gave a crumb to the woman who said, my people are dogs. Does that mean she gets the covenant? No, she got a crumb. That's all. He felt generous. He gave her a crumb. That's it. You understand? It's been this way since the very beginning. If the other nations had not done evil towards us, we'd have no beef with them. After they serve out their punishment for hundreds of years, once Christ returns, everything will be done. The Edomites will never be let off the hook. They'll suffer forever until they don't exist. Everybody else, you do your time. You know, you can't eat pig and Pokemon anymore. You can't be a homosexual. There's no more raping. You can't pray to Buddha and Allah, none of that. All of that's over. If you do, you're going to suffer. But it's over. You're not just hating you because you're not one of us. You did something. You understand? And that's all this is saying. They're not getting the covenant. They live in the house. Everything that you own is going to do this so that when they are helping you raise your future generations, they will say, oh, got to circumcise the child. When you go to the hospital, who is helping your wife deliver the babies? It's usually some Filipino nurse. The Filipinos is always a Filipino. Every hospital I've been into, that labor ward got some Filipino sister. It's all not a sister, Salaki, but it's got some Filipino woman there that's helping your wife deliver the baby. Always. They there. Well, guess what? She needs to know that all of these children from his lineage must be circumcised. And that's it.
Right.
That's all it's saying. All right. Was it any more on that scripture? If it is, you can go ahead and finish it.
Sir, that was it on that scripture, sir.
All right. No sweat. That's it. Everybody, you got a boy, get the boy circumcised. That's it. Eventually, once his sons, that's why it keeps talking about my son, my covenant, my covenant. If you go to 21, the only people attached to the covenant, it explains who the covenant is for. That's why Paul, in Romans, the 9th chapter, he had to explain who the covenant was for. He had to keep saying it over and over and over again. Shalom. All right. Okay, so now let's go back to Genesis where we were in this 13th chapter. All right. Now we're going back to Genesis, the 13th chapter, and we're going to get back with Lot. All right.
Okay, sir. Genesis chapter 13, verse 14. And the Most High said unto Abram.
He said unto who?
Abram.
Remind you, the Lord is saying this to Abram. The Lord is not telling anyone anywhere else anything. Nothing. Nobody's getting anything. Sarah's going to ask why. Sarah's going to go to a prophet. The Lord is going to tell the prophet. All of this, the Lord is communicating with Abram. All right. So keep going.
After that, Lot was separated from him. Lift up now thine eyes.
Now that you got rid of your kindred, like I told you to do in the first place, go ahead.
And look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. Verse 15. For all the land which thou seest, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed forever.
And to thy seed forever. The land that you see, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to your children forever, as far as your eye can see. Now, are there other people who work on that land? Yes. We already established that. Is the land going to be given to their children too? No. It's not their inheritance. It's not their land. How many people live in the town? How many people live in the city of Richmond? The city was eventually established by some family.
Right.
You are not their family, but you live in their city. Shalom. That's that. Who does the land belong to? This family. Do you live there? Yes. Do you have a job in that city, even though your family does not own the city? Yes, most of us do. Shalom. That's it. Who owns it? Who works there? Who lives there? Different classes. This is how you establish power. This is what every other nation understands. This is what their religions are about. This is why they make martial arts. This is why they set up temples that are set aside somewhere else where they can, for their religious purposes, they can get outside of the jurisdiction from having to report and be monitored by the other nation. That's why the monks set up some temple. That's why the samurai set up some temple. That's why we have a separate place. That's what a 501c3 is for all you nuts out there. It is something that says you have a right to do these things and not be taxed for your religious purposes or your beliefs or for whatever tax shield purposes you have. That's why it's there. It's in the Bible as well, even though you fake Israelites don't believe it, until the FBI kick in your church or your temple and lock you up and put you in federal prison for all that money you've been illegally collecting without a 501c3 dummy. You're going to go to jail.
Right.
You're going to go to jail, just like they did to Tazadakia. And I think the Israelite Church, God and Jesus Christ, just like they did to him. You need a 501c3 to collect money legally. If you're collecting money, you don't have one. You don't have permission for the government. You don't pay taxes. You are collecting money without paying taxes. You're going to jail. It's the same thing they got Al Capone on. Income tax evasion. All right? Listen to the prophets. We're trying to save your life. You don't know what the hell you're doing. Get in class. Take all of that silliness off. Get rid of those shirts with the baby doll tassels on there. Call the nearest ISUPK school. Enroll and close your mouth. I'm going to save your life. I promise. All right? So keep going.
Come, sir. Verse 15. It's like in verse 16. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth.
There's going to be so many of you. It's going to be like the dust of the earth. You won't be able to count how many Mexicans, how many Puerto Ricans, how many Dominicans, how many, you understand, Judites. I mean, forget it. You won't be able to count them. And his seed also includes Ishmael. Can't count how many Arabs. The United States Army has been blowing up all the Arabs they could for about 22 years now. It's a miracle that there are any Arabs still alive anywhere on the planet with all the Predator drones and Hellfire missiles and Tomahawks, bunker busters, Marines and Air Force. It's a miracle there are any Arabs still alive. They killed Gaddafi, took his country. They forced the king of Syria to step down. They forced the king of Iran to step down. They killed Khomeini in Iran. They killed every goddamn body. It's a miracle there are any Arabs left. Well, the Lord blessed Abraham and said, thy seed shall be as the sand or the dust of the earth. That doesn't mean the covenant goes to you just because you're Abraham's seed. The covenant goes to these people specifically. Covenant just means contract. When you write and fill out a contract, it has stipulations in the contract. That's what that books of Deuteronomy 28th chapter, all of those laws are the stipulations to the contract that the Lord made with our forefathers. You understand? So keep going.
Come, sir. Like it. So that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered.
If you can count how much dust it is, not the actual dirt, because they got a system of measurement for the dirt. The dust is when the dirt start blowing. You understand? That's different. That's more than the dust. If you can count that, then they can count how many you'll be. Like the Lord blessed him because he fought his flesh. Think of how much the Lord come and tell you in a vision one day, all right, wake up. I want you to leave. Leave the city where you live. Leave your mother, your cousins, everybody related to you. Get away from them. Leave and go and just get the journey. Get on 95 and just go. And I'm going to tell you where to go eventually. I'm going to tell you where to go. Just get out and go. And if you do what I say, I'm going to tell you where to go. I'm going to make you great. Imagine the amount of demons that would take. The brother that our forefather had to fight said, you going to got us out here in the wilderness. It's 131 degrees, I ain't seen no water. I got these camels. They back there fighting. Got my nephew here. He keep getting into trouble. Goddamn, for the chickens to burn to death. Like, what are we doing out here? Where are we going? Abraham, and you know, I've been down with you since your daddy was young. But you know, we've been out here for a minute. Now, if you say we going the right way, we going the right way. But you know, some of the they back there axing, you know, the cattle cutting up. You know, how much longer? I mean, we going the right way. I mean, what is map? What did GPS say? Is that the right star? I mean, right part of the desert? Where the hell are we going? Yo, some niggas shot at us the last time. Like, is this the right way? Like, what are we doing? It's a lock, sir. I mean, tell me something. You understand? They back there, you know, knife fights breaking out. We gotta get somewhere quick. You know? He don't know where he going. He's just following the order, and they rode with him. And because they rode with him, and he didn't know where he was going, the Lord blessed them. They got blessed for helping him. They didn't know. They just obeying Abraham. They was down with him. They obeyed him. The Lord blessed them. That's that. The covenant is not for them just because they rode with him and were kind to him. Everybody that smile in your face and make you a latte and doesn't push your son into traffic when he gets off the school bus, that doesn't mean that the covenant of the Lord is for them. You don't share your inheritance and your soul just for some kindness. That's how desperate our people are for love and kindness, that anyone who just does not treat you as cruel as you've had, if you've been treated your whole life, they must be the greatest people in the world. Right. They didn't beat me like my mom. They didn't burn me with the iron like her boyfriend did. They didn't try to molest me like the goddamn soccer coach and the Olympic Dr. Nadal or the preacher or the goddamn boxing coach. You must be the greatest people on the world. You gave me bread. You didn't yell at me for asking for something to eat. You gave me a juice. When I didn't have a juice, you didn't hit me and call me I was greedy. You understand? Like, these must be the best people on the world. I said hi, you said hi back. You didn't cuss me out or try to fight me. You must be the greatest people on the world. Of course, I got to share the kingdom of heaven with you. Like, our people are so desperate for love, kindness, and brotherhood that anywhere that you can just feel some sort of peace, you must take it with you. Right. That's why we fighting in here in the ISUPK to build the kingdom for our people. A nation can't be strong as long as your heart loves them, because they've always done you better than your people have ever done you. And that's what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans suffer from. Because some heathen is the reason your people all hate each other. But you can't see it without the prophets to explain it to you. And without the Spirit of the Lord, you will never see it. You'll just blame yourself. You understand? You'll blame your brother or blame your neighbor for fighting in the goddamn hallway all day and not being able to stop their dog from pissing at the goddamn elevator. You'll blame your neighbor for fighting in the hallway because your girlfriend got back together with her baby daddy. You'll blame your sister. You understand? Not realizing that the oppressor has destroyed your people. You understand? Damn right. This is shield. This is King David's name. This is shield. King David's name written in the Hebrew language classes every Friday night in all the ISUPK schools. It's a full language. Just like if you sign a check, back when people used to write checks, I don't know if anybody writes checks anymore, but when you sign a check, your signature goes at the bottom of something. When you sign an agreement, you put a signature on something. Well, this is King David's signature. It's the signet of the king. It's his name. If you come to the Hebrew language class on Friday, just ask, and whatever teacher in the class you're in, he'll write it out and you'll be able to see what it looks like. But this is his name, and Christ sits on the throne of King David because of all the mighty and wonderful things he did in the name of the Lord to build our nation. All right. So go ahead and finish that out. Damn right. It's just a signature. That's all. His signature, his name. So keep going.
Verse 17. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee.
He said, get up and walk. Walk as far as you can, as wide and as far as you can, the long way and the wide way. Everywhere you go, I'm going to give it to you. The width and the length, all of it. Everywhere you walk is going to be yours. Abraham did a lot of walking. Abram removed his tent. He picked up his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and build an altar unto the Most High, so that he can have an altar unto the Lord. A lot of these things were also landmarks. He got a big open field, probably millions and millions of acres somewhere, and he built an altar to the Lord, which is a landmark, which they talk about for generations to come, how important landmarks are. Mind you, we're not always in the desert. You understand? All of the Middle East is not desert. You understand? A lot of it is, but all of it is not desert. So he got a landmark there. There's nothing else here. And then there's this great pillar so that he'll know, okay, this is that. So that the people that's going and traveling back and forth, okay, there's the altar there, so that must be there. There's the pillar there, so that must be there. Because eventually, remember, we're establishing cities. We're building cities. We're building towns. He pick up his tent. There's nothing there now. Right. Now it's somewhere else. You understand? This is building so that once we walk this down, we'll walk until we get it bigger. The covenant get passed down. We get a nation. We get bigger and bigger. Now we have cities. Now we have borders. We have an army. All of our story unfolds. This is, how it started. And this is what this is why the Old Testament is so important, because this is from Hebrews, the 11th chapter, when Paul and the disciples in the school that he set up throughout Asia Minor, they're teaching the brothers and sisters that are leaving the world. They're leaving the culture that the Greeks and the Romans forced us under by torturing and murdering us to force us to take their customs. They are now have to be retaught our history again, because they spent their whole life learning about the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny and naked white babies with wings and lesbianism and homosexuality, getting high and praying to the stars and the zodiacs. They've been raised with that. Now they have to be raised how you would have been raised if you were raised as an Israelite your entire time. This is what he's teaching these brothers and sisters, and that is exactly why you are learning these things here in these ISUPK classes. All right? And with that, we're going to pick up right where we left off from here next week in this Genesis, the 13th chapter. All right, Most High in Christ. Let's get that. So, we are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We started out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite groups. We just getting here the closing of the Feast of First Fruits. You understand? The closing of the feast, the Day of Atonement. Salaki. Let me see. Bear with me just a moment. All right, closing the Day of Atonement. There we go. Right here. The next coming high holy day is going to be on the 9th. We're going to get that in just a moment. Let's get that. All right, let's get this for you.
The Feast of Tabernacles.
The Feast of Tabernacles. Bear with me just a second. All right. I'm going to go ahead and do these announcements. Let me get this up to me. All right. Let's get this. All right. It up. We finish here in this class. All right. Let's go ahead and clap it up. Most High Christ. Get this here. So we have school filled with brothers and sisters. Everybody make sure y'all sign in for attendance. Like, share, thumb up, subscribe. We are the ISUPK. We started out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a brother and sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to learn and share themselves with the world. You understand? If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6-month period in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Very important. These rules are very important. This is how you have a family and a nation, and this is how you fix all of the problems with our broken families that the juvenile court, domestic court, and the child support court is piling up and capitalizing off of, that we do not have rules amongst our people that we so desperately need that are in the ISUPK. You understand? Tithes, which is a commandment from the Most High. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10 means 10th in the Hebrew, ma'ashara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives to you. You get 10%. 90% of your money belongs to you. 10% belongs to the Most High. You get a stimulus check. You hit the lottery. You get your retirement, your Social Security. You get a court settlement. You find $5 on the ground. 10% of what you have belongs to the Lord. 90% belongs to you. You understand? All right. Give to the school. You understand? Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. The upcoming high holy days, the holy convocations, we just finishing out tonight, closing the Day of Atonement, where we fasted for 24 hours, no water, no food. The Day of Atonement, what we've been teaching about here. You understand? All right. Okay, well, I can check the bulletin. Just make sure y'all check y'all emails. Everybody get in the correspondence departments. Contact the ISUPK schools in all of your cities and states where y'all are. You understand? Contact the school. Make sure that you are in direct contact with the school in your city and state. We got power outages and COVID and wildfires, all kind of stuff going on everywhere. Do not sit on the internet liking, thumbing up, and commenting, and not contact the ISUPK school in whatever city and state that you're in. Lock all the way in, check in, get in for attendance, and get in communication with the school where you are. World War III right around the corner, and everything else horrible coming with it. From Civil War, they're going to try to get Trump back in office again. All kind of stuff is going on. Just follow what was said. All right. And lastly, if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, that'll be in all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or war scarf. Be in your all black. Contact the school in whatever city, zone, state, area, country that you are in. Our ISUPK listings are right on the internet. They're on Google. You can look them up. They're on our website. Make sure you call the school where you are and tell them, if you are a brother, that you want to be a trooper and get in your all black. You understand? And with that, Madiam, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. You understand? All right. Going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, Madiam Shabbat, Madiam, Barak,
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Brakathah.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatham, Sar, which means to turn. Sisters, Imanium, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Yadi Matah, which means hands down. With that, class dismissed. All right. Most High in Christ. Make sure you pay your tithes, like, share, subscribe. Go to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment. The comments drive the algorithms. You want more videos, more views, more brothers and sisters coming to the truth, coming to the school, just like how you found out. Leave comments on the videos. While y'all coming out, tune in. Our next class is going to be on Friday, the Hebrew language class. You can learn to read, write, teach, and speak the Hebrew. And with that, shalom. Wow.